Hello there, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from. Yes, this is another Friday afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you so much. My name is Franklin. I'm happy to have you on board. Thank you so much. Yes, today, just like normal, just like the other day, tunasema kawaida kama kawa. Tunakaribisha katika kipindi kingine, makala mengine ambayo tumekuandalia. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, today we are taking a look at another special feature where we are looking at developing adaptive geospatial skills for the evolving needs of a new era. So, where are you? I want to say welcome on board wherever you're watching us from, whichever part you are. Karibu sana. We are so much to have you on board. Now, today, let me talk the speaker. Nation Adero. Nation is a lecturer at Sept University. He's an international exposed geospatial and system modeling expert with a demonstrated record and passion for youth mentorship. Among the international awards and recognition he'd won are the 2020 University Ideas and Competition for Africa Academia on Employability Promotion to Higher Education Institution. Is representing Africa at the inaugural Pacific Skills Summit in 2019, and as well as 2008 Barry Richmond Award for System Thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this is a well-packed, highly session which you can't afford to miss. Now, let me bring on board Bwana Hashan so that he can speak to us right away. Bwana Hashan, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon from Voi. I'm quite well, and thank you for welcoming me.
Welcome so much. Please kindly introduce yourself to us and to viewers, and as well as you tell us what you have packed for us this afternoon.
Thank you. I'm Nelson Adero, as you have introduced me, and I'm a surveyor by profession. And I have also added some skills in policy research and analysis. I've worked in the private sector before and in government, a parastatal well known as KIPRA, that is the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, where I was under the division of infrastructure and economic services, and found geospatial skills highly useful and I could say critical to the delivery of evidence-based and location-based policy advice. And I'm now a lecturer at Taveta University, the Department of Mining and Mineral Processing Engineering. Again, all of us know very well that mining engineers need skills in surveying, geospatial skills, because surveying and mapping together is critical to decision support, tunneling, and all the other aspects that are relevant to mine development. And it is my pleasure today to take you through this presentation, which is from the margin to the mainstream of the science society policy nexus, and how can we develop adaptive geospatial skills for the evolving needs of a new era. So I'm going to take you through this. I also shared a podcast before, which goes deeper into some of the research findings that inform this topic, and it is a topic I'm passionate about. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, dear viewers, wherever you are. Thank you so much, and for those ones who are joining in, thank you. We are so much happy to have you on board. And by the way, a kind request: you can request your friend. Thank you, Anne Kamau. I can see you coming on board. Thank you for the comment. Please ensure that you leave the comment. Let's ensure that this session is more interactive, and everyone else in the building virtual building can get more and also a lot of benefit at the end of the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Ensure that you please share this session. Please do comment, drop a comment, as well as inviting a friend so that we can move on together. Thank you so much. So, from now, Nahashon, without much ado, kindly take it up from here so that unpack. Let's learn. Let's learn. Pen and a paper, and we're ready, willing to learn.
Okay, thank you, Frank. So let's start off. And I would like to say that the history of surveying and mapping is rich with transformative experiences across the world. We can go far back in Egypt, talking of more than 2000 BC. But even more recently, in the 19th century, we must appreciate that surveying and mapping developed from a mere means to solving problems that deal with physical features, static physical features, and we went into mapping more abstract aspects that inform decision support. For example, if we look at the work of Alexander von Humboldt, who founded the discipline we call biogeography, he ventured into mapping more abstract aspects such as climate. And all of us are aware today that climate change is a key global challenge, and technological developments that we must come to terms with, not to forget changing demographics, and also to ensure that our skills can impact the science, society, policy nexus. And that is why we need advocacy, we need multidisciplinary training, and we need to develop skills for interdisciplinary research. Looking at COVID-19, for example, you'll agree with me that it demands more than just epidemiological knowledge. We need to go into geodata-driven solutions to share visual evidence. And that is why it is a challenge to the members of the geospatial community nowadays to develop adaptive skills, skills that can adapt to the demands of a new era. We are going to see what is happening across the world. And if you look at the bottom of my screen there, you will see the era of talentism and career security. Why talentism? This terminology just arose recently, attributed to the founder of the World Economic Forum, who is an engineer and also an economist. And his argument is that we are now living in a world of talentism, not capitalism. Why? Because if you can refine your talents, then you'll be valuable in the marketplace. And your talents will open the door for you, new frontiers. And if you trained as a surveyor, or if you trained in GIS, for example, or as a valuer, then adding onto that, the refinement of your talents is what will make you sellable on the competitive and borderless global marketplace. And we are also talking of career security, not employment security or job security. Youth nowadays take on average 2 to 3 years on one job and move on to the next. And the gig economy has also expanded the space for transferable skills so that you can be impactful beyond the traditional borders that we have been used to over the last 100 years. So it is career security. How transferable are you within the more demanding and open space in the modern global technology marketplace? So that is why it is more of career security, not employment security or job security. So let's look at some of the key drivers of change. We have talked about career security, not job security. We talk of the gig economy, and we talk of talentism as opposed to capitalism. So there's evidence across the world that if you have been trained in one of the geospatial specialties, then in this era of data-driven digital revolution, and I can make it more specific because if we look at data and the growth in data, a significant percentage of that growth is in geodata. So when we are talking of big data, for example, we cannot leave out geodata as a key driver, a major share of the rising volume of data. And over the last 2 or 3 years, the amount of data that has been added onto the stock we already have is more than 90% just within the last few years. So if you are training or you are trained in the geospatial sciences, surveying and mapping generally, then as youth or as an expert, you have a better chance of understanding the needs of the time and developing transferable skills in order to remain relevant to the developing new developments, the global technology marketplace. We also talk of anticipation and preparedness. For quite some time, we have been used to what we call preventive maintenance. But the world has moved away from that. We are now talking of predictive maintenance. Can you predict even before it happens? And how will you predict if you don't know you don't have the knowledge of where? And this is bringing on board geospatial data. Even talking of the current global pandemic, geospatial data is key because we need to know where the events are happening. Where do we have the highest rates of attack of COVID-19, for example? And there are 7 T's that are critical to disaster governance. We have timing, we have tracing, we also need to test, we also need to develop or build trust, public trust, and we also need transdisciplinary collaboration. And another T is that we also need training. If you look at all these 7 T's, geospatial data is cutting across all of them for us to acquire what we call location-based intelligence and actionable location-based intelligence. So we need to anticipate, and that is why the topic of today is about developing adaptive skills that can adapt to the changing needs of the times. There is research that just revealed recently that the primary schoolers today, 65% of them, that is about 2/3, will be engaged in jobs that have not been defined yet. So if you're looking far into the future, then you cannot eliminate the need to develop adaptive skills from the stock of the skills and competencies that we must acquire. Again, we have been talking of the 4th industrial revolution, and the 4th industrial revolution, or the era of the Internet of Things, the internet being the aggregator, so that we have connected devices and data. I call data in this case the blood of the system, because if the system has to work, the system for decision support, then you need quality data. Quality data, figuratively, we can say is the blood of this system for decision support. And a key part of that quality data, as we have just said, is geospatial data. But you also have what we call the nervous system. For any living being, you need a functioning nervous system, and that is where we have the ICT-driven technologies, of which GIS is key. But you can guess what do we also need for a healthy body? We need the brain. We need the brain. Hence, we need the human capital. We need the experts, the young surveyors, the young GIS experts. We need them in order for us to be complete. And we also need the enabling environment of policies. So we cannot talk of the 4th industrial revolution, which is the era of the Internet of Things, connected devices, the internet making it borderless for us, so that we can network freely. You have seen since COVID-19 came, nowadays conferences have mostly gone virtual and giving you an opportunity to share your ideas and for active cross-fertilization of ideas across the entire globe. And the synergy arising from that can only make things better for us within the geospatial community. So we have gone beyond, the world has gone beyond the 1st industrial revolution through the 2nd industrial revolution, as shown there. And the 3rd industrial revolution that is the computer and internet-based knowledge, and what computerization has done even within the geospatial disciplines. We are talking of digitalization, digital photogrammetry, and all that, and the computers become part of our tools of trade. Now, I would like to challenge, especially the young members of the geospatial community who have joined us. We have been talking so much about digital literacy, but we need to move beyond that to what I call digital fluency. Data literacy to data fluency, local awareness to global awareness, and simply having raw talents to refining those talents and embracing mentorship from your seniors in order to have talents that can impact what we have referred to as the science society policy interface. And from mere formal education for academic qualifications to lifelong skills development, I once referred to the predicament facing the world nowadays, especially Africa, that we have drops of skills in an ocean of academic qualifications. That is a narrative we have to change, and changing that narrative will require of us to move from the left to the right as shown by those arrows. Again, talking of the skills that we need to develop within the geospatial community, we have good problems solving skills because of the nature of our training. There's no question about that. But are we going beyond that to learn the other soft skills and people skills as shown here, and technology use and development, self-management? All these are the skills that we need. Even our curriculum development must be adaptive to these changing needs, which require our young graduates to be borderless global citizens, not just in terms of what they speak about or what they pursue, but in their mindset and authentic DNA. Now look at some of those productivity tools, and I usually challenge my students asking them how many of these do they use, because they have good smartphones. But we'll see from one of the results of a nationwide survey in Kenya that being active on social media and just talking of digital literacy is not enough. Employers need skills that are market ready skills. And if you just do a quick quiz across the youthful demographic, you may find that they use less than a third of this. Yet if you look at this, even on your smartphone, more than 90% of them are available on your smartphone, and they will help you to develop those skills of global awareness. And even talking of the sustainable development goals, it is a pity, as I'll show from the survey that I conducted recently across the whole country, Kenya, that only 18% of the youth who were interviewed across the whole nation were confident that they could articulate the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And the outcome was even more dire for the graduates or students in the engineering and geospatial oriented disciplines. And that's a narrative we have to change. Again, talking of the era we are living in, we have talked of the fourth industrial revolution, which we also refer to as Industry 4.0. In the education sector, where I'm working now, we are now talking of Education 4.0 in order to resonate with the fourth industrial revolution, which is Industry 4.0. And this is a buzzword that originated from Germany when there was a need to adjust to the changing needs of the time and the era that we are referring to as the fourth industrial revolution. Now look at all those kinds, all those types of intelligence. They are the types of intelligence attributed to this professor called Howard Gardner, the theory of multiple intelligences. Now you'll ask yourself, experts in the geospatial community, students of geospatial sciences and technologies. Which of these types of intelligence have been emphasized in your education and training, and even in your practice? I believe most of us will just say maybe logical mathematical intelligence, and for us in the geospatial community, spatial intelligence. But what of the other types of intelligence that are key to having influence in the world, having influence in the science, society, policy nexus? So we need to develop interpersonal skills, linguistic skills, all the way to musical skills. And this must be informed by the talents that you already have. And on the right, we see types of innovation. And most of us are just aware of what we call product innovation. And have you thought of the other types of innovation that you can impact, especially by adding this layer of location-based and actionable intelligence, which, as a member of the geospatial community or trained in the geospatial sciences and technologies, can add value to? Because we need location data. We need shared visual evidence so that we can communicate to all stakeholders irrespective of their level of training and exposure. So we also need process innovation. So at workplace, we need to think of how geospatial technology can improve processes. We think of business model innovations and new ways of creating value and shaping the logic of production and commerce. Again, you need actionable location-based intelligence. And that is what makes it even better for us, even more exciting for us as we face a new era that we rightly refer to as the era of data-driven digital revolution. Now, just to take you through some of the results of this scientific survey, which targeted youth in Kenya aged 18 to 35. And this survey was completed in April this year, so it is quite recent. And you can see the gender parity in terms of the respondents. You can judge from that outcome that the survey was fair in terms of bringing on board both male and female respondents, almost 50-50. And what was striking is that there were 63 questions I administered, and these questions ranged from questions on global awareness, such as awareness of global development issues, basic economics, sustainable development goals, and the common tools of productivity that we use, and even the horizontal solutions. When we talk of horizontal solutions, we speak of the common software applications, such as Microsoft Office applications that you need to learn to use because they are used across the board. And the outcome was, from this population, the mean score came to 16%, which is very low. But the highest scorer managed 82%. And this is where it is encouraging and motivating to the geospatial community, because the one who scored 82% was trained in IT and is active in the geospatial sector, is active in GIS and remote sensing. And this is encouraging to us because it means that by being active, by being trained in the geospatial disciplines and in the era of this data-driven digital revolution, you can remain competitive, and by adding on to your skills, more awareness, more interdisciplinary collaboration, then you can be part of the top 1% in the competition. And it is a challenge to the youth to ensure that they embrace more of mentorship, interdisciplinary collaboration, and lifelong skills development to remain competitive. Again, if you look at this, you will see more than 80% of the respondents were in their 20s. And if you are talking of solving youth unemployment, then we need to focus on such young people and how we participate in mentoring them, in offering them chances for attachment and internship in industry for lifelong skills development. Highest level of education, again, this one speaks to what is right at the center of interest for Kenyans. You can see from highest level of education, 70% of these respondents were either university students or university graduates holding bachelor degrees and master's degrees. And the rest from what we call the mid-level colleges, and those we can say are Form 4 or secondary school leavers. Again, it is interesting to note from this that 56% of the respondents were from STEM disciplines. And we know the disciplines we are talking of under the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya are mainly STEM disciplines. And this one is also speaking to the need to develop your skills and talents, lifelong skills development. If you ask yourself, when did you definitely or definitively identify your talents or gifts? You can see again, there is this late identification of our strengths in terms of the gifts or the talents that we need to refine to be competitive in the changing marketplace. And from this pie chart, you can see those who had identified their gifts before joining tertiary levels of education, only around 40% fairly identified. And you see a percentage of 15%, just vaguely and not at all, almost 20%. And this late talent identification before joining college, which are the centers where we develop marketplace or labor market skills, is something that is needy of urgent attention and solution. But we'll see that there is hope on the horizon. Again, this one could be of interest to some of us because if you are asked, how did you learn in the geospatial profession? This survey showed very well that parents are key agents. Apart from self-motivation by the learners, parents are the single most important external agents in terms of guiding us to choose the kind of courses we specialized in. 18%, almost 18%, as you can see from this pie chart. Teachers and mentors coming a distance 5th or 6th. So what is this one speaking to us? The message, the strong message here is that we must ensure that there's enlightenment. We must ensure that the kind of mentorship we offer as a geospatial community, as a professional body, the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, must be so well targeted so that we can ensure that we have more and more young people who are cut out for this profession or these disciplines coming to refine their talents and to become geospatial experts. Because if we don't do this, then you can see that most of us will just be following the lines of their parents, and it may not be what they are actually cut out for or what is needed to transform outcomes in the marketplace. So in terms of skills development, I'll summarize here because you can see for yourself the outcome there. And what is important to the people in industry is that our graduates need minor to major retraining after graduating from college or university. Only 24% of them were confident that they had acquired market-ready or work-ready skills. So you can see there's a whole more than 75% that will require minor to major retraining at workplace. So how do we bridge the gap? And this is why we need effective engagement when they are still learners in college, for example, industry coming in very strongly, and mentorship from seniors. And again, you cannot mentor anyone who does not respect you. So respect is also key, because you can only learn from someone you respect. So even as we talk to the young members of ISK, we need to emphasize the need for dignity and respect so that they can learn from their seniors and bridge this gap early so that they can enter the marketplace with market-ready skills and see a rise from the 24% to at least 50% in the near future. So I want to go straight into some of the findings about our education system. And is the education system to blame for the current high youth unemployment rates in the country? Again, we can see here that the majority are blaming the education system. But what can we do about this? And that is why when you go further from these outcomes, I was able to detect that industry has a key role to play, because 18% of the respondents said that they sharpened their skills for the marketplace during industrial attachment or internship. 18%. So if we add this 18% and we had 24%, then it could mean only 6% are coming from college. If they didn't have to go through this internship or attachment, then we would only have 6% who are ready for the marketplace. And I believe that is a point to note down, and during our interactive session, questions and answers, we'll together chart the way forward on how to resolve these challenges so that we can build a strong geospatial community, a community that is ready for the marketplace, a community that can impact the science, society, and policy nexus. So as we go towards the end, there are a few responses that are also key to calibrating the policy response that we need to focus on. Are you currently working as a regular employee or employer? From this, the simple message is that 36% were not employed, though they were actively looking for work and ready to work and having the skills that can enable them to work. And in economics, when we talk of employment, we have unemployment in the strict sense. And this 36% is speaking to unemployment in the strict sense. That is those who are unemployed, yet they are actively looking for work and are available for work. Because there could be unemployment in the sense that you don't even need work in the first place, you are not even looking for work, or you don't even have the skills in the first place. But this 36% makes sense and is key when we are talking of how to resolve unemployment and how to reverse the lack of skills or market-ready skills that the marketplace so urgently needs. Now, what of mentorship that we have been talking about from the beginning? There is agreement that mentorship is critical to building employability skills. And this one is also applicable to the geospatial community. But the youth, more than 70%, not placed in any structured youth mentorship program. So that is the technical contradiction. There's agreement that mentorship is critical to lifelong skills development, but only less than 30% of the youth are in any structured youth mentorship program. So as you saw from the beginning, that I'm also a volunteer youth mentor under Kenya's Presidential Digital Talent Program. We also have other structured youth mentorship programs such as Ajira. We also have Enactors, which is also active in the area of social entrepreneurship and addressing the innovation needs of university students before they enter the marketplace. So the strong message here is that we need to ensure that as youth, you identify yourself with structured youth mentorship programs, with professional bodies, so that you can become students members of ISK, for example, and that will go a long way in reversing this unwelcome trend, which is contributing substantially to the deficit of market-ready skills. And you see again, 83% not in any mentorship program. And what of individual mentorship? Again, the majority saying yes, but this one, compared with the structured mentorship program, is just a drop in the ocean. As we now talk of the various categories of mentorship that we need for skills development, you can see that the area of academic mentorship and peer mentorship and reverse mentorship, those three areas are lagging. So there's also a need to ensure that when we talk of skills development and training right from college level, the area of academic mentorship has to be enhanced, and reverse mentorship. Why reverse mentorship? Senior people also need to learn from the younger people, because there are skills that the younger people have because of the kind of generation they are living in, the kind of applications they are using. So it calls for humility among the senior people in the profession, also to invite younger people and learn from them. And in that kind of win-win collaboration, we'll be able to end up with a strong and impactful community of professionals. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Looking at them all the way from number 1 to number 17, you will agree with me that the knowledge of location and the sharing of mapped visual evidence, the aspect of scale, are all key to delivering on all these goals. And when we talk of goals, we also need to monitor progress. And when we are talking of regulatory environment, we need to monitor compliance. The monitoring of compliance and monitoring of progress will always be lame without geospatial evidence, without mapped visual evidence, and the knowledge of precise location. And that is why we are saying that we need to expand the pyramid. It goes beyond the 3 Ps that we have been used to of sustainable development as people, planet, and prosperity. We also need the place. And this is speaking very strongly to the geospatial community and what the geospatial community can do in order to enhance delivery on all these goals, because they are all interconnected. And I conclude by saying that where are the best practices, the best examples? And I would like to conclude by giving this good example of the city of Helsinki. I visited Helsinki for a study tour in 2019, October 2019. And the impressive outcome was that when it comes to emergency preparedness and response to emergencies and disasters, in Helsinki, the average response time is 6 minutes. That is assured, you can take it to the bank. And I asked them why. And the answer was a strong component of geospatial research, a strong component of data-driven decision-making, and mainly geodata-driven decision-making. And this is what has contributed to a well-planned framework, an effective addressing system, and a reduction of all the false positives and false negatives when it comes to reporting and detecting disasters early. So how can we contribute together to national development and achieving even our own development goals in Kenya Vision 2030, for example? It is through advocacy, lifelong skills development, and moving the geospatial debate and skills impact, a skills revolution from the margins to the mainstream. And I believe from this presentation, you must have noticed where you need to improve, where you need to collaborate more, and together as a team, impact the science society policy nexus. Thank you for the engagement, and I believe now, returning to the host, I can now be guided on the interactive sessions, and it will be my pleasure to engage with you in the question and answer session. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much, Nashon. Thank you so much. That is well put indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Where are you getting us from? What do you think about today's session? Anything that you've learned, anything that can be added so that we can get more value to the today's session? Let me know, let us know, let the presenter know. We are ready and we are so glad that you joined us on board. Thank you, Baranashton. Now, before we move to the Q&A session, allow me to mention some of the members who have the viewers who have mentioned on comment section below. And Kamau, thank you so much. I can see you. John Mutahi, Job Kagwongo, thank you so much. I can see you right there. Isaac Kinuthia, Shaban Mohammed, thank you so much. There's also another question there. Thank you. Amin Dada, thank you so much. Thank you, Lucy and Zach Mandu. I can now as well see you. Daniel Asewe, Foster Mbura, and quite many more. Mbani Benson, thank you so much for that. Now, there's a question that has been raised by Shaban. Let me project it on board there. So, I'm asking, Shaban is saying, I'm doing a BA in Arts Geography option. Am I eligible to work as a geospatial professional? Maybe this is a question that has been thrown to you, Baranashan. Kindly reply to this viewer who's watching us. It's not mentioned where he's, but he's normally watching us from Kwale. Back to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you. Kindly proceed.
Yes, so thank you, Shaban Mohammed. And you are doing BA in Arts Geography option. At the beginning, I referred to Alexander von Humboldt, a German explorer who applied mapping as a tool for exploration and founded the discipline known as biogeography, because talking of ecology, ecological integrity, talking of life on Earth, we still need that intersection between biology and geography. So as a geographer, the answer is a resounding yes. You can work as a geospatial professional and use these location-based technologies, GIS, remote sensing, to enhance research in geography and show us more of how geography can make life better on the planet. How can we address climate change? How can we understand more of the happenings on Earth, why particular vegetation is where it is, and GIS and remote sensing, for example, will complement those outcomes as you show us by definite location and by patterns and scale what is happening where and why. So my answer is yes, and it is so much of a broad arena of impact. So you have to choose where your interest is and geospatial technologies will help you to add value through actionable location-based intelligence, as I've been evangelizing. Thank you.
Thank you for that. There's also the question. Keep your comments coming, viewers, from wherever you're watching us from. And we really do appreciate your support so far. So it's good to mention Geoffrey Monario saying, thanks, Nation, for the great presentation. You can read there on the screen, as well as Mbani Benson. Mbani Benson is saying, thank you so much, Nation, for the wonderful work in presentation. Now, there's a question which Shaban had raised. I'm trying to pull it on the screen. Yeah, there we go. It is becoming difficult for many students to get a place, I guess, for internship. How can you advise a budding professional who is struggling to get those skills in the geospatial field? So that is another question. Yes, they are right there from Shaban.
So thank you, Shaban. And when you say that it is becoming difficult for students to get placement for internship, that is why we are talking of a more collaborative approach, because it would be easier through networking, through having learning institutions networking effectively with industry. I can give one example from Taita Taveta University. We have been networking with several industry partners, such as Base Titanium, and now a good number of our graduates are employed there, some as managers. Also, in terms of GIS and remote sensing with ESRI Eastern Africa. So I agree with you for sharing that challenge. But the solution, if we are to have a solution-oriented mindset, then we need to bring on board the teachers or the lecturers. We need to bring on board industry leaders and the professional community. So don't go it alone, but ensure that you network broadly and make your interest known to your lecturers as early as possible while you are in college. For example, the students who have got placement for attachment or internship from where I'm lecturing started approaching me as early as second year. So by the time they are in fourth year or fifth year, it is much easier to have a positive outcome, because you have to keep knocking and knocking, asking and asking until you breach the barrier, because the competition is tight. It is growing tighter with increasing youth population. But I believe we also need to expand more of those opportunities through a collaborative approach. So that is the answer I can give for now. So keep hope alive and networking active.
Thank you. And now that brings me to another question, Banana Ashen. Basically, when a student who's back in college is trying to get the right information so that they can make an informed decision, and my understanding is there is an Office of Career Services across all the learning institutions. So how can you advise a learner or the student to engage that office, and how often, so that they can get this kind of information? Maybe at the same time, you'll not be available all over to give them this kind of nuggets when they need them. So how can you advise this to kind of a student?
My advice would be that yes, the career office, we have career offices across these learning institutions, but we must learn the art of influence, and I've found it working well. If you are a student, be visible. I've been telling the youth about 4 V's of influence. One is vision. Then we have value. How are your values shaped? And then we have volume. That is the critical mass. And this also speaks to networking. What is the critical mass? The social capital you have around you. How many people can you just call up freely and share with them what your intentions are or what your problem is to be solved together? and then we have this of visibility. So if you are going to the final year, but even the head of department does not know you, you know there is a failure there. And even this career office will need the head of department at one time or another, the dean of students, and even your lecturer, the one whose subject you are fascinated with. So I would like to say that the career office is good enough, but you need to exceed that by networking broadly across the community and taking this early chance to be active in academic associations. I remember during my days at the University of Nairobi, I was active right from the first year in the Surveying Students Association. And by networking and taking up leadership positions or service positions of any sort in such academic associations and actors, maybe UNESCO or ISK, you'll expand your opportunities for engagement. So the career office, good enough, but the competition is for those who are better. You must exceed that threshold of good enough to be among the top 5% or better. Thank you. So that is the challenge. It is coming back to the people skills we are talking about.
All right, thank you so much. Now, keep the comments coming, dear viewers. Moses Masikonte is saying, if I can project, thanks Nation for such a wonderful presentation. Can someone doing mining course be classified as a geospatial engineer?
So thanks, Moses, for that question. And during my time in secondary school, the book, the set book for literature was Romeo and Juliet. And I liked one part there asking, what is there in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. And that is the kind of answer I would give to this, that it is not so much the name as it is the function. Because we have sociologists who are very influential, very powerful, working for international bodies. So let's not look at the name as such, but let's look at the skills you have that will enable you to influence the marketplace and decisions in this science, society, policy nexus. So if you are doing a mining course, for example, mining engineering, you can you may decide to specialize in mine surveying, because surveying, engineering surveying, and mine surveying, giving the example of Taveta University, that is a core unit all the way from third year to fifth year. So by the time you are graduating, you should have acquired enough engineering surveying skills and mine surveying skills to help you to work in industry in mining surveying. And because you have done mining engineering, you understand the mine environment better, you understand the minerals better. So adding your surveying skills and GS skills, you can be more competitive than the traditional surveyor. And we have examples, and I usually give this example of one of my mentees, former student and now a graduate of mining engineering. Is called Kevin Sang. Is basically working as a mine surveyor in the eastern region of Kenya on a tunneling project, because you agree with me that tunneling is heavily demanding of applied skills in surveying, and specifically engineering surveying, because tunnel surveying is basically engineering surveying. And that is what you do in your course as a mining engineer for more than 50% of the entire program. That is from first year to the fifth year. So yes, you can be impactful in the broader geospatial solutions marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. I believe now Moses is at home. Now, thank you, Lelit Ole Kaporo, for your comment. I can see you there. Enoch Kibet, I can as well see you. And Enyang Bernard Thu, thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you're watching us from, we pray that and request that may you share this one with your friends and colleagues so that we can learn together. Now, lastly, there's a question here from George House. George is asking a question with regards to, like, as a planner, what's your take on vertical urbanization using geospatial technology? Are there any studies locally?
So, as a planner, I believe George is saying he's a planner himself, and vertical urbanization using geospatial technology. Are there any studies locally? So, if I get what he means by vertical urbanization, maybe he's talking about densification because of land scarcity. So we are talking of high-rise buildings so that we can accommodate more people on smaller space so that we can plan better with the floor area ratios that we have, for example. And there are examples in countries such as Singapore. Because of land scarcity, we have high-rise buildings as a planning response in order to organize space better for lives and livelihoods. So again, there are also limitations that must be informed by topography. For example, in Germany, we have this famous city of Stuttgart, and being a city that is in a valley, low-lying place and a valley, high-rise buildings are discouraged because that would interfere with air circulation. So geospatial technology is useful in that because you need to generate the 3D models, the digital surface models, for example, using airborne laser scanning. And so you can see that geospatial technology is highly applicable in these areas for planning so that you can know where is it feasible and in the long term useful, having more gains than losses to have those high-rise buildings, to go for densification, and where should we have, should we ensure that we don't have those high-rise developments, and where can we discourage what we call greenfield development in terms of just expanding more and more into green areas, and instead go for brownfield redevelopment where we take stock of underutilized land, maybe abandoned factory sites, so that we can revive them, for example, in Eastlands in Nairobi, and come up with better planned housing developments for the growing population. So yes, geospatial technologies are useful there, and there are many research papers that have been written. If you send me email, I can send you some of them, not only in Africa, but also outside Africa, so that you can have them as part of your literature review to inform your research.
Well, there, viewers, you get it right from the horse's mouth. If you're interested, you can also engage on how you can get this literature material for your well-being. Now, there's a question here from Job Kagwongo. Job is asking, is it possible? Yes, right, it's there. Is it possible to engage the government more to open up opportunities for geospatial engineers in internship, develop training space, and even jobs? They can do a lot with various institutions, but only for job descriptions. What is your take on that, sir?
So is it possible to engage the government more to open up opportunities for geospatial engineers in internship? Again, I would like to say that the key role of government should be, or is, creating an enabling environment. And within that enabling environment, we can have a vibrant private sector. It can attract investments and also expand the space for job creation and skills development. Even if you look at the way it is working in developed or advanced economies, for example, in Germany, you find the private sector very active in R&D, that is research and development. And the government has a key role to play in creating that enabling environment. And ultimately, we need political goodwill. And that is why there must be advocacy. And ISK is a key agent in that area, if we can continue being visible, networking, and influencing the policy-making space so that we can have conducive policy environments for job creation, for this internship and attachment opportunities. Then again, it speaks to networking, and this is one area I can say engineering students and students from other STEM disciplines have been weak at. For example, there is this program, Kenya Presidential Digital Talent Program. This has now produced more than 1,700 young graduates of the program. And this program is targeting young graduates, so fresh graduates of geospatial engineering and space technology programs and other STEM disciplines, ICT and the like. So the question is, the advert is out there every year, and how many have been applying from the geospatial disciplines? So far, you find the majority are from ICT and all that. So again, it calls upon us to have regular sessions of this type so that we can share those opportunities that are there for internship. And 1,700, I think, that is the number of graduates from that program. That is already a good sign that the government is also creating an enabling environment, and we just need to create more of awareness. There may be an opportunity just next door, but you don't know about it. And again, the young people to be active in productive engagement, because if you write an article which can be read in the ISK magazines or newspapers, and you have these student bodies and associations and clubs which are more active in writing and sharing ideas, participating in conferences that can influence policy making, then it will be better for you than just one-off or going for entertaining activities, one-off, not regular. That will not be impacting the policy space. And this nexus I'm talking of, which is the Science Society Policy Nexus. Thank you.
Thank you. There's Geoffrey Monari is asking a question with regards to your book, where he wants to projecting it. He's saying that, yeah, there we go. He's saying that in your book you mentioned new jobs that will engage us, such as human to machine matching managers. Please expound on that.
Yes, thank you, Geoffrey Monari. And it is good to know that you have been reading the book, because this book is a free book. You can distribute it freely. It is available on the website of Interregion Economic Network, which is just a Kenyan organization, a think tank, a private think tank based in Hurlingham. And this book was sponsored as part of university industry collaboration, sponsored by a German political foundation, and that is why it is being distributed freely. And that book is rich in the second section that is dealing with the youth and skills development, youth unemployment and skills development, looking into the challenges of the post-COVID-19 world. What I mean there by human to machine matching managers is that with advances in automation, so when you are talking of the fourth industrial revolution, we have the data-driven digital revolution, we have automation, we have robotics, and we have the artificial intelligence and machine learning. What it means is that many jobs that require manual and routine operations will be decimated. But research has also revealed that for every 2 jobs lost to automation, 3 new jobs are created. And these 3 new jobs that are created demand a different type of skill set. And machines will be coming on board very effectively to replace human labor. But that doesn't mean that experts will be rendered useless. It only means that experts will be challenged to upscale, rescale, so as to match the new demands of the marketplace. And so talking of the mining sector, for example, if you understand how mining operations are working, then you will need the knowledge to tell us how many people do we need for one machine for this mining operation. If this mining operation used to require 10 people, but now there's a machine that can do most of the work, will I need one man to this one machine, or will I need one man for 10 types of machines? And that will require decision support modeling, understanding of the process, and that is what we call human to machine matching managers. So the manager must have both the panoramic picture, the big picture of the operation, the systemic connections, and also the detailed technical details, so that you can tell us maybe through linear programming that for optimal number, we need 4 types of these machines to one manager, and then we'll have optimal outcomes. So you can see even the linear programming you are doing in secondary school now coming in handy and getting you to be more intellectually engaged, not just engaged in terms of working hard, but in terms of working smart, not working more for longer, but putting more value into every minute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I believe now, Bana Monari, you're at home with that response. There's a question from Lelit. I guess that this could be the last question. Where is Lelit Olekapor is saying, what is your take on sectional properties in Kenya, especially in developing areas like Nairobi and its environment, like satellite places in Kitengela? What's your take on this?
So sectional properties, of course, if you're asking what my take is, I believe it is progressive, because we also need to look at the demographics and the economics. And as members of the geospatial community, let's talk of geodemographics. How do you connect the geo, the location, to the demographics? So if you look at what is happening in the Nairobi metropolitan region, for example, way back in the year 2007, we did some projections at Kipra, and as early as 2007, the demographic modeling was showing us that most of the population would go into the southern part of the metropolitan region. That is where we have Ongatarongai, Kitengela, Kiserian, and then followed by the eastern part. And that is where you are now talking of areas such as going towards Machakos, Kitengela, Athi River, Syokimau, and it has come to be true. So the question is, how much space do you need to be productive or to live meaningful life, and what of the sense of community? So if you have a young family, for example, I believe you'd be happier to be in a gated community somewhere. You'll be happier to be in a flat, and then you can own part of that flat. You can buy an apartment, have title deed to it, and have that peace of mind. So I believe this is part of the diversification that we need in order to address the basic requirements for sustainable livelihoods. And my take is that it is progressive. So with better regulation, especially with digitalization, so that we can eliminate the problems of those tab allocations you have seen for land parcels, and also to reduce the technical inefficiencies and loopholes for corruption, we can come up with a better managed living environment. And even for advanced economies, I have experience with Germany, for example. You find professors living very happily in flats, like the professor who who was my friend there. I used to visit him in his apartment. He's very happy in his apartment. He's now emeritus. And that ensures that the city, you find that the city, for example, is only 40 square kilometers in spatial size, and it accommodates the population there so neatly that you don't see the kind of congestion you see around because of haphazard development in towns or in city regions such as Nairobi. So I believe it is a good mix and a recommended way forward for meeting the needs of the changing demographics. Thank you.
Thank you there for the quite comprehensive response. Now, Paulina, thank you so much. We can see you. Now, I believe there's a comment here which we can close with. That is coming from Zach Maundus. Zach is saying, I can project there on the screen. Yes, we can go. Zach is saying that it's good to mentor and guide young graduates in their career. But what is even better is the act, the exposure, and the chance to becoming a professional, the internship, first chance. And so we can all talk, but he's urging all of us to ensure that all the stakeholders to ensure that we do something. Indeed, that's the right view there, Banazak, wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much for that view. And there's Mongare Geoffrey is also adding a point that adding on opportunities, the geospatial industry, Kenya Space Agency needs to contact NATION and the like-minded in its implementation and the coordination framework on their strategic plan. Quite indeed, that is very well. We believe that someone somewhere is watching and that is going to be implemented. Now, ladies and gentlemen, up to that point, I don't think we really have anything left. It's been a pleasure having you on board, and maybe it's good that I remind you that this is ISK Live Chat is a program normally takes place every Friday from 2 to a time like this. So do you think there's a topic that you feel like we need to give it a focus? We need to bring it into a limelight. It's our mandate, our job is to go out there, get in touch with professionals and put them up to task, and they also provide questions and provide answers to your questions and any other. So if you think that there's a topic, think or feel that there's a topic that we need to have it looked at, kindly ensure that you reach to us. The email is in communication@isk.or.ke, as well as you can chat with us through the number 0724929737. Those are the numbers that you can reach to us. You can call, or as well as you can do our WhatsApp text. So thank you so much. James Karue, you are asking, is there any recording? Indeed, this video is permanently, and it will remain here on YouTube, on Facebook. Anytime that you want, you can come and get it here. And as well as I can urge you, and please ensure that you subscribe to the ISK YouTube channel. When you go to the YouTube, just type the Institutional Surveyors of Kenya. You can get this kind of information. This clip, you'll find it there, this video, and many, many more. Remember, this is one way that the institution has to ensure that information reaches you freely at your own comfort without paying an extra coin on that regard, maybe only to ensure that you access the internet services wherever you are. So James Karue and every viewer, wherever you're watching us from, please ensure that you subscribe. Please ensure that you share this conversation, and let's keep the conversation going. You can also reach us on Twitter, that is at ISK_Kenya, as well as Instagram, Institution of Surveyors KE. Now, up to that point, I don't think I have anything remaining from here at the Secretariat. Maybe take it back to Nation so that you can give your parting shot as we wrap it up for today. Nation.
Thank you, Frank, for this engaging session. So I urge all young people here to look for those structured mentorship opportunities. Kenya Presidential Digital Talent Program every year advertises so that young graduates can join them to be for internship. They are connected to external mentors as well as mentors within government departments. And after 1 year, they graduate. Nowadays, there are companies that specifically ask for graduates for that program, and the advice is out this year. So please look for it if you are still in college, and so that you join one of the academic clubs to expand your network, and don't graduate without being known, being visible, ensure that you know at least one lecturer you can talk to freely, and also the head of department, even better, the dean of students and the deans of faculties. And I welcome you to Taita Taveta University. We have a program, Bachelor of Science in Geoinformatics and Master of Science in Geoinformatics, which is an international program. We also have mining and mineral processing engineering. We have scholarships, in-country scholarships from DAD for that program. If you are going for postgraduate, that is Master of Science in mining engineering or process engineering, including MBA Natural Resource Management and MSc in environmental engineering. So you don't need to go far. We are just here in Voi. Taita Taveta University is here in Voi, and very easy access from Nairobi via the SGR. Only 4 hours from Nairobi via SGR, and you are in Voi. If you come here, I'll welcome you, and we'll be happy to engage together. Thank you, and thank you, ISK, for this progressive debate.
Thank you, Nasham. Dear viewers, wherever you're watching us from, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you on board. I'm so happy. Maybe there's a last comment from Bana Robert Itambo. I can see your comment. Thank you so much. He's saying that good work, Bana Nasham Adero. So that is from Bana Robert Itambo. You can see it right there on the screen.
Thank you, Robert. I know him.
Okay, thank you. Now, keep Kemoy, Jamin, thank you. You're saying all that said and done, ladies and gentlemen. Up to this point, we can allow us to say goodbye, and maybe until next time, inshallah, when we all, when God says yes, we are going to meet here, the same place. A different topic with a different speaker. Look forward to that. Wanasema kwamba mwisho wa makala haya ni mwanzo wa kualika makala mengine yajayo. Kutoka hapa sina lolote, Bwana Erastus, nimekuona sana. Asante sana Bwana Chairman. We're really happy now on behalf of the entire ISK membership, the entire ISK Council, and the entire Secretariat, everyone who made this session possible. I salute and I say thank you, and a big thanks to everyone. Until the end, I say we can keep the interaction going. Let's keep the interaction going on the Facebook page there. Nation is going to be there, and I believe we are going to keep the interaction, and maybe some few minutes still for Nation is going to reply to, or rather keep the engagement going. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, thank you, Vincent Kiptom, David Mbuni, Philemon Kipor. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.